Welcome, everybody. I'm so happy to have you here with us tonight for our pet loss support workshop. My name is Nikki Vasconez. I'm an animal communicator, and we're here tonight with my husband, Michael Vasconez, who you'll see in a moment. He's a life transformational coach, and he's going to lead you through a very special process to help you navigate this very difficult path upon the passing of a beloved animal. Before we start, I want to get into grief for a moment. Grief is a very healthy, normal human emotion. It's okay to be grieving, but what we don't want is we don't want the grief to completely consume us, to keep us stuck, keep us in concrete, and we can't move about our lives, because that's not good for us. And our animals in spirit, we'll talk about this in a minute, they are constantly trying to get through to us, to say hello and to give us signs and messages to let us know that they really are okay. And Michael and I love giving these workshops because not everyone here will understand, but out in the outside world, not everyone understands the heartache that comes upon the passing of an animal. I'm sure each one of you at some point may have heard, whether for yourself or through a friend, it was just a dog, it was just a cat. Oh my gosh, it's been 5 years, right? Give me a nod if you've heard something like that, whether for you or a friend. And it's not just a dog, it's not just a cat, a horse, a bunny. These furry little fur butts or slithery little critters, right, are our family. And this community here tonight is everyone who understands what it feels like for an animal to physically pass on. And we're going to find support in that. And Mike's going to give you some tips and techniques to help you step out of this deep grief that you might be in. What I have learned from connecting with animals, as an animal communicator, I talk with animals that are living and those that are in spirit. And about 40% of my work is probably with animals that have passed. And a quick story, when I first started talking to animals, I never would have tried to connect with animals that were deceased, because in my opinion, I was like, I didn't have that ability. I didn't have that skill. It wasn't something I did growing up. I didn't even know animal communication existed until my late 20s. So I never would have tried, because I just wouldn't have thought that I could do it. And in the beginning of my journey, I was doing a free practice session. One of the practice animals was a cat, and the cat's human just forgot to tell me that her cat had passed away in March. We were in July. She forgot to tell me her cat passed away in March. I did my practice session. Everything came through just like any other session. I still remember it. The cat talked about the dark purple comforter on the bed that she really liked, the book stand that was to the bottom right side of the bed. Everything was just like I was talking with an animal that was alive. And in our follow-up call, the human kept saying everything in the past tense. Kitty used to do this, Kitty used to do that. And I finally said, hey, why are you saying everything in the past tense? And that's when she said, oh, well, Kitty died in March. That for me was the beginning of this very special process where I was like, okay, wait a minute. That cat just talked to me the same as the dog yesterday who was still alive. Is this something that I really can do? So what I have learned in this animal communication journey of mine is that our animals in spirit, they really are still with us. They really do still see us. They are happy, well, at peace, playing. When an animal or a loved one passes, friends and family mean well, and they say they're still with you, they're looking down on you, they're happy, right? All of these statements that on some degree we think, oh yeah, thank you. It's not really a meaningful comment because it's just said so often. But what I have found in this journey is that while those statements might be cliche, they really are true. And I know that to be true because one of the first questions I ask every single animal in spirit during a session, I say, how are you feeling now? How is your body, your spiritual body now? And every single time They talk about something that's vibrant, restored. An example, a dog once said, my eyesight is so restored and vibrant, I can see so far. And I later found out that towards the end of the dog's physical life, they were blind. So when I ask animals, how are you feeling now? They always talk about the part of their physical body that was failing, but that is now completely restored. Your animal is never upset, in pain, lost, confused. All of those worries that we have are not true. When they're in spirit, they are fulfilled. They are happy. They are seeing you. I've heard some horror stories where people have had an animal communication session and the animal communicator talks about how the animal is lost in a tunnel and they're so confused. And I'm just like, what? Because of the hundreds and hundreds of animals I've talked to, it's literally the complete opposite. And I want to give you a couple examples of what animals have said from spirit to help you see that they really do communicate with us in the physical realm. I talked to a dog one time. Her name is Moose. And a question I ask every single one of your animals is, how are you coming through right now to let your mom, dad, brother, sister know that you are okay? And this dog, Moose, said, tell mom that I'm looking up at the shooting star. I had no idea what that meant. The human had a tattoo appointment scheduled for the past couple months. The guy was booked out for a while. In the interim of her mom waiting, her dog had passed away. So this human, I'm going to call her Sally, it's not her real name, but just for this. So Sally goes to her tattoo appointment a week after her dog passed away. And the tattoo artist said, I know that you have a sketch in mind, but I was thinking, how about we do this, because the mom was getting a shooting star tattoo on her arm. I didn't know this. The tattoo artist said, how about we tattoo the silhouette of a dog right under the shooting star? The tattoo artist had no idea that her dog had recently passed, had no idea that I did a session, and had no idea that the dog said, tell mom I'm looking up at the shooting star. So when mom heard that, she said, why did you just say that? And he's like, I don't know. I just felt like it would be cool. Like, I know you have dogs and you like dogs, and like, why not put a silhouette of a dog underneath the shooting star? The dog had already passed. When I talked to the dog, she said, tell mom I'm looking up at the shooting star. Mom didn't know what that meant until a couple days later when she went to her tattoo appointment. So they really are communicating with us in the now, in our world right now. And we're going to walk you through some steps tonight to help you receive their messages, because all of you are receiving their messages. You just might not be aware of it at the moment. When we are deep in grief, I like to say how we're a small box. We're deep in grief, we're a small box. Our animals are trying to come through and say hello and send us messages. But because we're so deep in grief, our energy is really closed off. We're this small box. So our animals in spirit have to get their message into this little area. And it's harder. Imagine throwing a ball into a really tiny box. It's harder for you to do. When you start to step out of your deep grief through exercises we'll do tonight and doing things that are good for you in your life, your box gets bigger. So then your animal, when they're sending you the messages, they have a bigger area for it to land in. And eventually, your box is the size of a football field. You're receiving their messages from all angles. I had a dog one time say that the way he was contacting his mom was by poking her butt when she was on her hikes. And the mom was like, what? Because the other day she was on a hike with her friend in the woods. And she's like, Nikki, I literally said to my friend, I feel like someone keeps poking my butt cheek. And she kept turning around. So like, they're not just saying, oh, mom is having dreams about me or whatever. Like, it's very specific things. So they are coming through. And the more that your energy opens and you become a bigger box, it's easier for the messages to come through and to land for you to understand. There is no coincidence with receiving messages from your pets. What do I mean by that? If all of a sudden you hear your past dog start barking, or you hear their footprints coming down the hallway, that really is them. That's one of the ways they come through sound. You hear them bark, you hear their footprints, you hear them get the zoomies, whatever they used to do. When you hear that, it's not just you missing them or losing your mind or making it up. It really is them. Another common way that our animals come through to us is through sight. Out of the corner of your eye, you see them walk by you and you look like you just saw them. You really did. Another common way that happens a lot is the animal will jump up onto your bed or the couch and you feel the cushion dip down. And a lot of times you're asleep or it's dark out and you think it was your other pet that jumped up on the bed. But then a couple minutes later, you get up and go to the bathroom and you realize all of your animals are asleep across the room. Who just hopped up onto the bed? Your angel. It's how they come through. So there is no coincidence. If you receive a message from your pet, purple flowers keep lining your path, the same song keeps coming on the radio, look for these repetitive signs because it really is them. And the moment that you accept that the messages really are from your pets, from them, the more and more you're going to get, because if they keep trying to allow you to hear them and you keep hearing their barking, but it's not registering to you that it really is them, then they're going to be like, all right, mom and dad's not getting it. What can I do? I got to try something else. So they try something else. But if you acknowledge and accept, like, hey, that was you, Merlin, I'm so happy to hear from you. Like, thank you for coming through. You're just going to get more and more of that because they know that you've received it. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, maybe your animal passed 10 years ago, but you still feel like it's 3 days ago. That's okay. It's okay. I'm not saying that if you're deep in grief, you're not going to hear from them. That's not true. It just sometimes makes it harder. Another common way our pets can come through is in dreams. So if you're deep in grief, you might have a dream because when you're in a state of sleep, the conscious brain is not getting in the way. Sometimes it's easier for them to come through in your dreams. It's called a visitation. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. When you have a visitation from your animal or a deceased human, family member, loved one, it is so real that you wake up and you're like, I was just with them. And it feels like something that you've never experienced before. That's a visitation. Now, the flip side of that, a lot of times people have dreams that their animal is suffering, is lost. Someone in the chat said that they always fear their animal is lost. If you have a dream that your animal is lost, that's you processing. It's your own fear. You're not processing it during the day because you're deep in grief, you're working, you have all these responsibilities. You can't really give yourself the time to process. So you're processing it while you're sleeping. I'm telling you, your animals are not lost. They are not sad. They're not hurt. They're not upset. If you're sitting there like, well, Nikki, maybe if they passed away naturally, but I had to help them. It was a tragedy. Regardless of how they passed, they are not mad at you. They are not upset. It wasn't too soon. It wasn't too late because you all are connected with your animals via your hearts. There's a heart-to-heart connection. That's why you knew when they were cold, or you knew if they wanted a treat, or you just had these moments where you knew exactly what they were thinking without them even barking. You just had a knowing. Okay, so when it comes to end of life care, euthanasia, whatever it might be, it's literally impossible for you to do something that's not in their best interest because you guys are connected at the heart. So if euthanasia was not right and it wasn't the right time, the appointment would not have happened. You wouldn't have made the appointment because you literally cannot do anything not in their best interest when you have that heart-to-heart connection. Their entire life, you did everything that you could for them. You bought them the best food that you could get, that you made sure their water bowl was filled and cleaned. There's an ant crawling on my finger. Okay, stay there, buddy. You did everything you could to support them. So why would your actions and your decisions towards the end of their life be any different? Okay, so I encourage you. I need to get this ant. I don't want to hurt him. Come here, buddy. I encourage you, no matter what happened towards the end of their physical life, to trust that it was the right process and the right decision. Because I want you guys to raise your hands if this has happened to you. How many of you experienced where you had a euthanasia appointment scheduled and you canceled it because you knew it wasn't the right time? Has that happened to anyone? Raise your hand. Yeah. Or the flip side, how many of you all of a sudden was like, you know what? Tomorrow is the day I have to help them transition tomorrow. Raise your hand. Yeah. It's that sudden feeling, that knowing, that intuitive connection. Okay. Trust that because it's real. It really is. I have goosebumps just talking about it. All right. So today is going to help you step more into that, to really honor that you knew what your animal desired and what they needed, and that you really did do what they were asking you to do. Because if you had to euthanize your animal, they were ready. They were sending you that message that it was time to do that. I've said a couple times that we can all receive messages from our animals. And most of you just raised your hand that you've experienced one or the other about scheduling the appointment, canceling the appointment. We all, as humans, are psychic, intuitive beings. We are innately psychic beings. That's why we know sometimes when our phone rings who's calling without even looking at it, or our friend is about to ask a question and we answer them without them even asking the question. Have you experienced that? A friend is about to say something, you finish their sentence, or your phone rings and you know who's calling you. Yes. That's your powers as a human being. I say all the time that animal communication is not a gift. It's not something given to a select few important people. I used to be a lawyer. I was in court every day. I was super stressed out. I was so far from doing what I'm doing now that when I say everyone can learn to talk to animals, I really do mean that, because I didn't even know that this world existed until I was 28 years old. And I'm about to be 34 this month. I teach workshops every month of people learning to talk to animals. And every single month I see 50 beginners talk to animals and see they can do it. So all of you, when you're receiving messages from your animals, it really is them, because you do have this innate gift within you. The number one goal that I had in the beginning of my journey when I transitioned from lawyer to animal communicator was to have the most animals' voices heard possible, period, bar none. That was it. That was my goal. I didn't know how I was going to accomplish it. I had like 250 Instagram followers. I didn't have a TikTok. I didn't like Facebook. I didn't like social media. I didn't want to make videos. And I was like, well, how do I do this? Because I just learned something special. I'm in this world where I see people can talk to animals. I'm going to learn. I have all these books. How do I notify the world that this is possible? And it took time and a lot of work. And I started doing the workshops, like I mentioned. But what I realized is that when I have these monthly workshops and people were talking to animals, both living and in spirit, and they were doing so well, they were struggling after the fact to continue finding animals to practice with. Because it's weird, right? This is not something that most of us are raised believing is possible. So it's kind of, you feel a little vulnerable when you want to go post on your social media, hey, I'm learning to talk to animals. Who wants to let me do a practice session? People think you're nuts. And then it kind of makes you feel bad. Like, am I really making this up? Can I really do this? So I started realizing that, yes, I'm hosting these workshops every month, but people are struggling to find animals who continue practicing with. So what I created is an online membership community. And I just want to briefly show you the portal, just so you know that there is a community of animal lovers that is trying to enhance their animal communication skills, whether you want to do this professionally or just to connect deeper with your own pets, to connect with your animals in spirit, whatever you're desiring. This community is for all of that. We have weekly calls with me, Q&As, lives, monthly practice sessions to help you learn how to do this. I said a couple times, this isn't something I always did. I learned to do it. I'm going to show you the portal real fast, just so you have an idea in case you're interested. Okay. Within this community, on the left-hand side, there's the events tab. We have an event every single week, guest speakers. It's all here for just the community members. On the left-hand side, you'll see different groups. Aspiring pet psychics, those who are seeking to become animal communicators. This is a whole feed of people posting pictures of their animals for you to practice communicating with. No judgment, no fear. The whole thing is animals. So you have an unlimited amount of animals to continue practicing with. On the left-hand side, there's also a Pet Parents Connect group. So collaborating with each other for your recommendations or to share your favorite pet wellness secrets, you'll see at the top, there's a chat. Connecting with people. Hey, I have a question. What are you guys doing for this? There's also a pet loss support group within this. And I have pinned posts at the top. So it's an area for you to grow, not only as a person, but as an animal communicator and as a human being. On the left-hand side, you'll see workshop recordings. Every workshop recording I've ever done is here for you, included in the membership. And at the bottom, Health Corner, my husband has his own lifestyle medicine section, the best water to drink, colonics, things to help you feel and be well. Because if you are not well health-wise, it's harder to step out of grief. If you are healthy and vibrant, it's easier for you to do things that make you feel better and therefore help you get out of the small box of grief into the bigger box. And then you hear from your animals in spirit much, much easier. Does that make sense about the small box analogy that I'm giving you? About how it's harder for messages to land in the box? Yeah. Okay. All right. What we're going to do is I'm going to pass it on to Michael now. He's going to lead you through the coaching portion. We're going to break out into little breakout rooms at some point. I'll let him explain all of that to you. But I encourage you tonight to know that you're in a safe space with everyone who has gone through what you're going through. And no one is going to think you're overreacting or you're being silly. We're all here for the same reason. We all love animals and we've all lost some animals. Okay. So just know that. And just everyone close your eyes, take a breath. I'm going to pass it on to Michael and we'll be back in a moment.
Greetings, everyone. Give me a 1 if you feel like this, you're in the right place. Everything that Nikki just said, does it feel good? Does it feel real? She's very authentic. And I just want to encourage all of you. Yes, I'm promoting my wife's thing, and it's a little bit of my thing too. We kind of work as a team, but that community is very cool. And it's important in this day and age to be a part of something that that feeds you the right way. It's important to find people, things that you can put your time into that is going to feed you. You know, Netflix and Hulu and that type of stuff. There's some good stuff on there, but a lot of it is energetically draining, you know? So whether it's this community or not, it's important that you find something that feeds you. And that community is full of love. It's full of good people. And it's really attracting something cool. And so I just wanted to throw all that out there to you. So a little bit about me. I work with people during a time of change in their life. When people are ready to change, that is typically when they come knocking on my door. And there's two sides of the coin that I work with. The one side is the change, that aspect, that dimension, that energy that starts to happen in our life when we want to change. And the other side of the coin is lifestyle medicine, which is the lifestyle choices that we're making, everything from food to water to how we walk and talk and interact with life and bringing health and vibrant energy into our life. So when I work with people, I work with those two different things to create a transformational aspect in their life. And the reason that I am here going through this process with you and tonight's focus is the grief, is because grief is a very, very, very heavy energy in our life. And human beings are designed to grieve. We are designed to allow ourselves to grieve, but grieving is a short process. It's something that we move into and out of. And what I have seen is that human beings, a lot of because of our programming, our interpretation to some things that we have experienced, and our overall, like, society does not support people moving in and out of these type of spaces in their life. We get stuck in it, and we don't even know that we're stuck in it, because sometimes it takes a little bit of support to move out of it. And then we have this thing about animals, right? Animals are just 100% perfect. That's the way that I can describe them. Their sense of innocence and compassion are beyond our understanding. And animals on planet Earth are a direct reflection of human beings. You know, there's a book that Nikki talks about that 30, 40 years ago, when you used to travel into the Sahara Desert, I mean, not the Sahara Desert, the African desert, right? People would interact with lions. People would interact with wild animals, but there was no fear, right? Before, so the energy of animals is a reflection of human beings. And personally, not to bring any of my beliefs into the world or to imprint on you, but I personally believe that animals and humans used to coexist without the ferociousness and the fear and the terror that you can read about, you know? It's because there's just as many stories as you hear about people getting hurt by animals. There's just as many stories about wild animals jumping in creeks to pull little kids out of rivers and to save a human or anything like this. So we have to understand that the earth is going through a change right now. It really is. Mother Earth and humanity is waking up. The energy is changing. And not to get all into, you know, all this stuff that's out there, but just to be very grounded in our understanding that human beings, we no longer need to hold on to this stuff anymore. You know? So grief is a heavy thing. And tonight, if you choose to, in this space of people all over the world, 103 people here, it's amazing, from all over the country, all over the United States, all over the world, I encourage you to let your shields down a little bit. Allow yourself to become vulnerable with some random strangers, because there's no better. Strangers can be the greatest ears to listen to, because there's no expectations here from anyone. So we are going to open up this container tonight in a minute, and you're going to be in the little groups, and we're going to go through writing exercises tonight. So a pen and paper is needed. All right. And when we move into groups, we're going to discuss what it is that we're going to write about with each other. So you're going to meet a bunch of new friends tonight. So it is a choice to let go. It really is. And you can choose to do that in whatever size that is. Wherever you're ready in your process, as much as you put into this process, because your process isn't going to just end when we're off the call tonight. If you allow this process into your life, you will see a change. And I'm going to tell you a story about when I really understood grief. And I didn't even know that it was in my life. And this was not with an animal. I've experienced the animal side of it. And I've actually communicated with one of our little ones that we had to put down. That was one of the first times that I actually experienced animal communication, because I get it from Nikki. She just like feeds me, and sometimes animals start talking to me. So the first time I experienced the animal communication is the animal that we just put down, our little Geordie. She was a little poodle. She was trying to come through to me, and I like wasn't listening. And I hit my head really hard walking down the stairs, and whoom, I had this message just fly into me. And it was 100% Jordan. She was trying to get a hold of me all night long, and I was busy, not listening. And she came through and told me something she wanted me to get rid of because it had a lot of her essence on it. Right? And every time I looked at it, it reminded me of her. But it did not remind me of her in the present moment. What these things do that we hold on to is they remind us of the past. The past is not the present. The present moment is where all communication lies. It is where joy and happiness fully exist. So when we have things that remind us of the past, of the way that things used to be, it is taking our power actually and taking it out of the present moment. And even though it's a joyful memory, it still isn't always suiting us to constantly look at it, because what happens is it turns into a subconscious thing that we don't even realize it. Our subconscious is constantly being taken back, even though our surface layer mind might be thinking that it's in the present. And we have to give ourselves permission to move on from these things. So I'm going to share with you a very powerful personal story that I share with a lot of my people. especially groups like this, because I work with groups all over the United States every single week. Not always about grief, but with different aspects of transformation in their life. So when I was the first experience I've ever had that I let go of grief was when I got out of the military. I was around 25 years old. I'm 35 years old now. Okay. And this is during a time when I started to change my life. Literally, the old me was dying and the new was being ushered in. Everything about me was changing, and life really took me through a process for about 4 years. But it all started when I got hit with a wave of energy, and it brought me to my knees, and I broke down into tears. And the man that I was living with at the time thought my appendix just burst or something, right? And I didn't know what was happening because I just came back from a healing retreat. So I got opened up like a can of worms. I was open, I was vulnerable. I mean, like, I was just a hot mess when I came home, and I knew something was happening in my life, and something hit me like a rock in the stomach. And I just allowed the energy to flow through me, and I crawled to my bedroom. I'll never forget it. I crawled to my bedroom, like pretty much in tears, and my friend's just watching in the background, like, what is going on? You know, he's watching me crawl on my hands and knees, this grown man, you know, Marine. I was training to be law enforcement, you know, that type of guy, just got crushed. And all of a sudden, my hand just reaches up. I didn't even know what was happening. And I grabbed my brother's ashes that I've been carrying around for like 5 years, and I had them. And they were with me all through the time in the military. They were just something that I was always thinking about. They were in my field, and I didn't even realize what it was doing to me. And I got a clear message, like, you're going to change. Now's the time. And I went out back during a full moon, and I let go of his ashes with my friend, because it was also one of his good friends, right? And I felt 1,000 pounds come off my back that I never knew was there. 1,000 pounds. If I could, like a truck came out of my body and went up into the universe. And that was when I really understood. And then it just began. I just started getting messages, and I started to learn all this stuff. And also working with people. I work with people, a lot of people, and I see a lot of common patterns. And it's very common to hold on to whatever it is that brings us comfort. But nostalgia, looking back on the past and reminiscing and things that bring us back to what was, there's a true comfort, and it's found in letting go, releasing, and accepting who you are now, and look at everything as a lesson, not as something that was done to you. Everything that has happened in your life is something for you. It is a shift that if you take away, it will change a very deep aspect of your life and how well you communicate with it. So when Nikki talks about letting go of grief, you're going to usher in communication 100%, but you're not only going to usher in communication with your animals, you're going to usher in communication with life, because there's so much out there waiting to come in to help you. And when you let go, so much is there: abundance, joy. I consider the opposite of grief joy, the opposite of hate love. And you might not even be feeling grief. You might not even think it is. You have to look at your life and dissect it. Is this good for me? Is this taking me back? Would my animal want me to keep doing this or repeating these thought patterns or keeping this thing around? If there's one thing I've learned from watching my wife talk to so many animals and changing my perspective on the animal world too in the past 5 years, is that animals are 100% present with every single moment. And that is what they help us do. Because you can pet your animal and forget all about the world. And that's healing, because you forget all about the world, because nothing else matters in the world except what you're doing in that very, very present moment. So allow them the healing in your life to be in the present moment. And if you want to connect with your animal, you know, whether you learn from Nikki or you can even just start working with it within yourself, The present moment is how it's found. All right. So now that you know a little bit about me and you got some of my vibes, we're going to kind of start now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play some calming music, and I want us all to just kind of, relax a little bit. So I encourage you to get comfortable. I encourage you to allow yourselves to be comfortable and share some music. Everybody hear the music? Go ahead and get very comfortable. Have a pen and paper with you. We're going to do some journaling tonight. So if you would like, go ahead and close your eyes or keep them open. It doesn't really matter. Miriam, I see your message. Miriam just said if I get any more comfortable, she'll fall asleep. All right, Miriam, maybe just stay just as comfortable as you are. We don't want you falling asleep. We're going to be working soon, so don't worry. We're going to wake up. But right now, I just would like you to allow yourselves to fully be here. Whatever that means for you, all the different aspects of your mind and being and spirit, worrying about all the stuff we read on the news, our own grief, all the processes in our life. Allow yourselves to be a spaceship that lands right where you are, like right now, like boom. And also allow yourselves to receive each other's support. When we speak in circles like this, our words are medicine for others. And when we hear others speak, their words can be medicine for ourselves. So allow us to openly communicate with what we're going to hear, with what we're going to say. And to be open to new people, to new things. So what I would like you to do tonight is we're going to do some journaling. And when I ask you to write, I ask you to write a certain way. There's different names for this type of writing. But when the pen and paper when your pen touches the paper, I ask you to continue the flow of writing. Like once your pen touches the paper and I say, please begin, grammar, spelling, punctuation, none of that matters. Just flow with whatever comes to you. It can seem goofy, it can seem messy, it doesn't matter. Just let whatever wants to come through out onto that paper. And if you think you're done, you're not. Just keep going until I say the time's up. We're going to go for 3 minutes, okay? But I want you to write the whole time, and there's no reason to even put periods. We're going to do this a couple times. You're going to get better at it, but you're going to see what happens. So, and then we're going to share with each other. So before we begin, I had a... So Melissa, I see your question in there. No, there is no time frame, but it typically is a certain period of time that you must allow yourself to move out of. It's not something to carry with you. So if this is an acute thing, like it's something recent, use tonight to get through it. You use tonight to learn something about yourself. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a question for the journal, and I would like you to answer that question when you go to journal. So the first thing I want you to write down is, what is grief to you? ? What is grief to you ? Now remember, when I say begin, please begin writing and just flow. Don't think about it, just flow, whatever that is to you, all right? So please go ahead and begin. What is grief to you? 3 minutes. I'll let you know when we're done. Slowly just bring that to a close. Finish up your thoughts. No need to bring that to a halt. Just make sure you finish up what was coming through for you. Now we're going to move into breakout rooms. And what that is you're going to be in groups of 3 people. And I ask that as soon as you land in your breakout room, someone just take each of you like get about a minute, okay, and just share everything that you just wrote down. Share with the people that are going to be in your room, in your group, and just express if you want to continue what you were writing down or if you want to give like a synopsis or anything like that. Just completely share whatever's there for you. And we're going to open up these rooms now. I'm going to give you about 3.5 minutes in the room, and then I'll bring you back in and we're going to do some more. But one person just goes, the other and then when they're done, just move through it, and you'll see how this works. We're going to have about 4 people in the breakout room just in case somebody can't participate. So I'll see all of you soon. All right, we're almost all back together. A lot of people still coming in. Right. I think we have everybody back in. Please raise your hand down at the bottom right-hand corner. There's a little reaction button. Is there anyone that did not get to share that would like to? You'll see a little raise your hand. Anyone that did not? When you get put in these rooms, it's not necessary for you to share if you would not like to, of course. So that one was a trial and error because there were some people that I had to move around. So there was one person here that says, Miriam, not completely. Go ahead and unmute yourself and just go ahead and share with the group, Miriam. I'll take about 30 seconds to a minute. That way the whole group gets to hear or share. And
Right.
Go ahead.
So, hi.
Hello.
So I was talking about, and in the mid, it was that I was brought to the room. So I was just talking about what was left was how helpless I felt when they were going, and how helpless I was feeling when my family was telling me that it's just a cat, it's just a dog, don't grieve too much, don't cry too much. And we only talk about now, I discuss only the good memories with them so that they don't get, offended, and they don't call me super sensitive. But there's a gap in my heart, there's a hole in my heart that doesn't get filled up by any person who comes again. People come and go, but the misery I saw, or the things I could not do for my cat or dog, and I could not see them again, the way they were gone was made me feel like my life was changed. So that's it. That was only left.
Sometimes that hole in our heart that we can feel is unexpressed communication. That's why we have these groups. So you're in the midst of 800 people signed up for this course. Not everyone is here, but you have to understand that you're not alone in feeling this, and this be able to speak what is truly there for you helps fill that, because a lot of that can be unsaid things. So thank you for sharing. Please use this space to continue to share and be supported, because all this energy is here to support you and every single one of you. All right. So now that you know how this works, okay, we're going to go again. We're going to dive a little deeper now that you know how it works. And if any of you need help, you simply click the help button if I have to move you or anything like that. If you don't want to share when you're in your rooms, just type in the chat. Some of you have messaged that maybe you're crying or you're too upset. I encourage you to share anyway. If you can't, that's fine. I'm not trying to trigger you in any way, but speak. Communication is how we move energy. So try to say something or just be there with the people. Okay. So I encourage you to once again get in a comfortable place. We're going to continue on what we just started together. Go ahead and get your pen and paper out again. Take a deep breath. Let's all of us take a deep breath together. Breathe in. Exhale. Take a deep breath. Breathing our breath. The next thing I would like you to write on your paper, I just asked you the question, what is grief to you? Now we're going to continue that momentum into, what is it doing to my life? What is it doing to my life? What is it doing in my life? Question mark. Please begin. What is it doing in my life? What is grief doing in my life? Here we go again. 3 more minutes. Please begin. Remember to let it flow. No stopping. go ahead and slowly bring that to a close. All right, we're going to move into breakout rooms again. Please, if you get into a room where there's no one for you to share or anything like that, please just raise your hand. I hop in, I'll move you real quick, and we'll go from there. I'm going to leave the room open a little bit longer to get everyone situated, to make sure all of you can share. And if you're done sharing at one point, just talk with each other. You'll have new people. Bon voyage. Welcome back, everyone. Please type 1 in the chat if you are enjoying this communication with people all around the world. All right, that's a lot of 1s. Very good. Okay, I just saw a message on there that you need more time. I will give you more time this next time around. Some of these groups are hard to get together. So next time, I'm going to give you guys a lot of time. Okay, so anything that wasn't said in this past group, I want you to bring into this next one. I'm going to give you guys like, how does 10 minutes sound? Is that good? You guys like to be together for 10 minutes? And if you're done sharing, just converse with each other. Okay? Some people had 5 in a room. Some people had 2. So if at any time you're done and you would like to come back to the main room, you just exit the room. Okay? So, but we'll leave the rooms open. And if you want to go into a room with a lot of people, just come back into my room and I'll put you into a bigger room. Okay? Not a big deal. We're here to support each other. We're here to work through this. All right. So I encourage you to be very honest with yourself on this next one. Be the master of your own life. No one knows you better than you. A lot of people in this world, you know, like we look to people for help, which is good, but the most powerful place is to help yourself. No guru, no shaman, no religious figure. No one knows you better than you. All right? No one knows you better than you. If there's one thing that Nikki and I have learned in our life that took us out of a really, really dark place into a much better place, is that we realize no one knows ourselves better than us, ourselves. So this next one, I would like you to connect with that and answer it. So this next question I have for you that I would like you to journal is, who am I without it? And what I mean by it is grief. Whatever it is that you're holding on to, who am I without it? Please begin. Go ahead and slowly bring that one to a close. All right, everyone, I'm going to give you much more time in this room. So we have I made groups of 4 or 5, some with 3, and I'll do my best to move you all around to make it even, but go ahead and enjoy the sharing. Melissa, there's something weird going on. It's telling me that you're in a room and I can't move you again. Well, how about you just go ahead and share with me? Or you can wait and share with the group, and I can give it to you, the whole group, here in about a few minutes.
Yeah, I can share it right now.
Sure, go ahead.
I didn't really write a lot because I really didn't have like the words to describe. I put I would be numb without grief. Without grief, I would be unbearable and reluctant to look myself in the mirror because I would be nothing without grief. To grieve is to love. And if you don't grieve, then you haven't lost. And if you don't lose, you haven't loved.
What was it like to say those things?
It makes me feel like what I'm feeling it's okay. Like it's like what I'm going through is part of it because I loved him so much. And if I didn't love him, I wouldn't be grieving. So it's kind of become almost evident that I loved him with my whole heart because I'm hurting with my whole heart. So I think I know it might sound like kind of cliche, but or a contradiction is that I'm happy to grieve for him.
Makes you feel alive.
Yeah, it gives me a pulse. I had scratched off that without grief, I would be just a walking robot, to feel nothing, to feel no pain, to feel no love, to feel nothing. Because grief is a part of me, it's a part of everyone. And without grief, then who am I?
There's a lot of other emotions out there.
Yeah. But thank you for letting me express that.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. There's no right or wrong. This is your life.
Yeah. I think if I didn't question myself, like, what if I would have done this? Or what if I could have done that? Then I feel like, then that's not grieving. That's just kind of selfish to make yourself feel a little bit better, but like you did everything. But I know, so I rather just miss him. Does that make sense? Instead of asking all these questions to myself.
Just be with it.
Yeah.
It's simpler that way.
Yeah, very. Instead of living in the island, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah. You ever hear the expression that we must feel to heal?
No, that's the first time. I like that.
I'm going to say that to the group again in a minute. Poof. Everybody's back. All right. Give me a 1 if that was good on time. Was that better? All right. I got a lot of thumbs up. Good, good, good. It's cool to be with people like this, right? It's, technology is a double-edged sword. It can either heal us or it can hurt us. So we're using it in a beneficial way tonight. So I was just speaking with someone else in the group when she came back into this room, and we worked a little bit, just me and her, because for some reason her Zoom wasn't letting me put her into a room. But there's one thing that I have learned in my life that society doesn't really teach us, and that we must feel to heal. It's the only way. Our feelings are our roadmap, they're road signs. And typically in the modern world, we are programmed and taught to think our way through life. And I can honestly realize, like, there's some benefit to that, but it's time that we just, as humanity, we allow ourselves to feel. And when we open up our feelings, and because the only way through grief is to feel it, right? Just like that night that I talked about, that what opened up to me inside of me was grief. That's what was being released that night. And that hurt so bad. It was like I had surgery done on my heart. It was like my rib cage got burned open, because I was in the military. I was a man. I was a big tough guy, and I just suppressed and suppressed and suppressed to make it through everything that I was going through at the time in my life. That then I healed some grief that I was carrying before all of that in my younger years. And I've learned up until now that I must feel to heal. So if we go through something like an animal passing and we're not feeling different, then we're not allowing ourselves to feel, because it's a very normal thing for human beings to feel this way when we're connected to something like that, and it passes on. But the key is to master ourselves, to be realistic about ourselves, and to not let that hinder our human experience, because we move through it with feeling, we learn, and then we pull ourselves out of it, and we're going to be better and more whole and more present when we're on the other side. So my next question for you is, and I want you to just write down the first thing that intuitively comes to you. And we're coming up on time, and we're going to move into that 90-minute mark. I know that Nikki said that we were going to be done by now, but we have a couple more minutes here together. I want you to be very honest with yourself. Are you ready to let go of the grief? If you said yes, what specifically are you going to do to work on letting go of it? And if you said no, what more do I have to do? What will help me? And if some of you don't know what will help you, I want you to think and be very honest with yourself. What will help you move through it and to feel? Feeling is the key. It's not avoidance. It's not thinking. It's not rationalizing. It's feeling. What will help you feel? Is it more yoga? Maybe a certain type of meditation? Is it doing something that allows you to feel? So I'm going to give you just one thing that I would recommend is animals are part of nature. So are we. We're part of this earth. And we as humanity have lost touch with Mother Earth and the different kingdoms that exist on this planet. We're meant to live in harmony together. When we are disconnected from one, we're disconnected from everything else. Mother Earth is here to help each and every single one of you. So if you are in a stuck place in your life with this grief, or maybe it's compiled by other distractions in your life, I suggest that you go to a body of water, a moving body of water, a river, a creek, a stream, even a lake. The water element is flow. Stagnant water builds bacteria. It builds gunk. Moving water is always clean. Go to moving water and ask the earth to take whatever it is that is bound up inside of you from you. Do it with a strong intention and just sit there and allow yourself to feel the water will open up blocks in you. This is something I've learned moving through a lot of things in my life. I've traveled all over the planet, living with different cultures and learning from people. Moving water with intention to allow the element of Mother Earth to wash away these griefs, these angers, these sadnesses, these doubts. I just saw in the comment, a shower can put you in a right place, but I really want all of you to go to nature, to the beach, to a river. On your drive there, your intention is to do this. When you sit down by yourself, or maybe with another loved one, or maybe another pet that you have, it's intention to sit there and to process. So now what I would like all of us to do is to once again bring ourselves into a place, because we're going to close this group out tonight. And I just want to comment on something that really stood out to me. Somebody in the chat, I'm not sure who exactly it was, they said they were with somebody that lost a pet on the exact same day they did, in the same breakout room. I can't even describe to you, like, call it a coincidence.
It was insane.
Okay, there it is.
It was
I remember, yeah.
Awesome, and we were shocked, and very similar, are both male dogs, very similar age, both rescues, both tiny dogs, like unbelievable.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. So there's a lot going on here in these groups. And I really want all of you to, when we're done this call, to not jump back into your life, to not jump back onto your phone or to TikTok or to like anything that's going to take you out of whatever might have started within you. You know, these groups are here to start something within you, or to help you complete something, or just to be with community. But so when you leave here tonight, 10 to 15 minutes, go lay down with your eyes shut, go sit outside, and just be by yourself. Okay? So let us all close our eyes together. Once again, I want you to land in your spot like a spaceship. Just landed. Boom. And now there's like so many people from across the world, so many people from all over the United States. It's really cool. Let's all take a deep inhale together right now. Inhale. And exhale. Now what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in again, but we're going to connect with Mother Earth, all of us together. We're going to feel supported by the planet that supports us all at once. So let's breathe in Mother Earth. And exhale. Never forget Mother Earth. She's always here. So my family from across the world, I send you off tonight with many blessings and empowerment and self-mastery to whatever this call did for you tonight, whether it's a yes or a no, to know that there's no right or wrong, and for you just to know yourself and which path you want to take. I'm sure Nikki would love for you to reach out on all the different things and shoot her a how tonight was and everything, but make sure you take time for yourself after this. So go ahead, blast some love into the chat. I'm going to leave it open for a minute or two.
Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to wish you well. Thanks for being here with us tonight.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Good night, everybody.
Thank you so
Good night.
so,
Thanks
so, so
again.
much.
Very
Thank
welcome.
you.
Wonderful.
Bye.
Bye. Thank
Very
you, Mike.
welcome.
Thank you, Nikki. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
I'm seeing
Thank
everybody's
you.
faces just lots of smiles. That's a good thing. Take that
Yeah.
smile with you.
Thank you.
My heart is feeling lighter.
Bye,
Yes,
Miriam.
very
Good
good.
night. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Good night,
Night.
guys. Thank you very much for your time and your sharing.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Thank you. This was fun.
Good night, Libby. Good night, good night, good night. All right, I'm going to exit this room now and officially close it all down.
Night.
Many blessings.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye.